Okay, very warm welcome you all for the today's lecture on carbohydrates. Okay, this is prescribed for BSc 6M Organic Chemistry Paper 1 of 5 hours unit. Okay, so in this lecture I would like to cover the definition, classification of carbohydrates, acetone formations, epimers and epimerization, interconversion of fructose and glucose, Kilenius synthesis, rough degradation, ring structure of D-glucose, mutarotations, and determination of ring size of D-glucose by Haworth-Hist method. Perspective formula of D-glucose. I hope these content of carbohydrates are discussing one by one in this presentation. As I said in the beginning, just now, the carbohydrates are most abundant biomolecules belonging to the class of organic compound found in both plants and living organisms. Okay, so they are widely diverse group of compounds that are ubiquitous in uh, ubiquitous in nature. Okay, more than 75% of dry weight of plant wood is carbohydrate in nature, particularly cellulose, hemicellulose, and lignin. Okay, so formerly, I mean earlier, carbohydrates were defined as the group of compound composed of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Yes, of course, it is uh, composed of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Okay, these elements, I mean, the elements hydrogen and oxygens are in the same proportion as in the water and were expressed in the general formula like CH2ON or else CnH2ON and were called carbohydrates. Hydrates, that means hydrates of carbon. Okay, so this definition is not valid as it was misleading few compounds like acetic acid and lactic acid. Understood, which are not carbohydrates. Okay, therefore, hence the carbohydrates nowadays broadly defined as. Remember, I think that is why that statement I have been quoted, I mean labeled with red color. Okay, so the hence the carbohydrates are nowadays broadly defined as polyhydroxy aldehydes or ketones or compounds which yield these compounds on hydrolysis. Okay, this was the I mean best definition for carbohydrates. Suppose during your examination period, if they ask for 2 marks, this definition is useful. I think if you write this statement, I mean definition for the definition for the carbohydrates, you may get full marks. Okay. Occurrence. Carbohydrates are widely distributed in plants and animals, as we know, all found in green plants by the process of photosynthesis. Each year, more than 100 billion metric tons of carbon dioxide and H2s are converted into cellulose and other plant products due to photosynthesis. Okay, this process occurs with the presence of chlorophyll pigments and sunlight. Remember, in the presence of sunlight only, I think the energy from the sun is used to convert the carbon dioxide and water into the glucose. Okay, here is an energy resource is, I mean energy source is, I mean glucose. Okay, so that will be converted by the carbon dioxide and water. Okay, in presence of sunlight. Okay, these carbohydrates utilized by the animals in the form of food. Okay, well-known carbohydrates are glucose, fructose, sugar, starch, cellulose. I mean, used by the human beings and animals. Okay, um, animals can synthesize carbohydrates from fat and proteins. Remember, um, I mean, this is about the occurrence of carbohydrates. Okay, let us begin with the classifications. How many types of carbohydrates are available in nature? Carbohydrates are mainly classified into three major classes on the basis of complexity and behavior on hydrolysis. Okay, remember. So there will be three types of carbohydrates. One is monosaccharides, second one is oligosaccharides, and third one is polysaccharides. So the monosaccharides and oligosaccharides are together called sugar because they are sweet in taste. Polysaccharides are known as non-sugar since they are tasteless. Remember. Okay. First one and second one, monosaccharide and oligosaccharides. They are called together called sugars only. They are sweet in taste. Okay. The polysaccharides are known as non-sugar since they are taste. So let us discuss about the first class monosaccharides. Okay, simplest and smallest unit of carbohydrate it is, which cannot be hydrolyzed into smaller units are called monosaccharides. So, which will not undergo hydrolysis. Okay, so these are the building blocks or building units of disaccharides, oligosaccharides, and polysaccharides. Examples: glucose, galactose, fructose, and ribose, etc. Okay. Again, these monosaccharides are classified based on the following factors. The first one is the number of carbon atoms. Okay, depending upon the number of carbon atom present in their molecule, they are further subdivided into trioses, tetroses, pentoses, and hexoses. Trioses means contains 3 carbon atom, tetroses means 4 carbon atom, pentoses means 5 carbon atoms, and hexoses means 6 carbon atom. Okay, examples are for 3 carbon atom containing monosaccharide is glycerol, glycerose. Okay, tetroses, erythrose, pentoses, ribose. Okay, hexoses, glucose. Okay, these are the four categories are there. These are categorized based on the number of carbon atom present in the monosaccharides. Category concerned based on the functional nature of carbonyl group. These are mainly grouped into either aldoses or ketoses. Aldoses means aldehyde functional group containing monosaccharides. Ketoses means ketone functional group containing monosaccharides. Okay. For aldoses, examples aldotrioses, aldotetroses, aldopentoses, aldohexoses. Glycerose, erythrose, ribose, and galactose, respectively, are the examples for aldoses. Ketoses, they contain ketonic functional group, as I told. Ketotrioses, example dihydroxy acetone. Ketotetroses, erythrolose. Ketopentoses, ribulose. Ketohexoses, fructose. I think this will be the second type of category of monosaccharides. This is classified based on the functional nature of carbonyl groups. Broadly, two types: aldoses and ketoses. Aldoses means aldehyde group functional group containing saccharides, monosaccharides. Ketoses means ketone functional group present in the uh, monosaccharides. Okay, with one or more hydroxyl group. The second category, oligosaccharides. Oligosaccharides are the carbohydrates only. The carbohydrates which on hydrolyze to give 2 to 10 monosaccharide molecules. Oligosaccharide means these are the carbohydrates only which on hydrolysis give 2 to 10 monosaccharides molecules. are called oligosaccharides based on the number of monosaccharides formed on the hydrolysis. Okay, during hydrolysis, monosaccharides are generated, isn't it? So, based on the number of monosaccharides formed on the hydrolysis, okay, these are further subdivided into disaccharides, trisaccharides, and tetrasaccharides. Disaccharide means carbohydrates which on hydrolyzed to give two monosaccharides. That is why it is called di. Okay, two monosaccharide molecules are generated. So therefore it is disaccharides. Examples: three most abundant disaccharides are sucrose, lactose, and maltose. General formula for that is C12H22O11. Okay, trisaccharides. Then go for trisaccharides. These are the these are also the carbohydrates only. The carbohydrates which on hydrolysis give three monosaccharide molecules. Therefore, it is trisaccharides. Okay. So, example, raffinose. It on hydrolyzed to give three molecules of monosaccharides, glucose, fructose, and galactose. On hydrolyze of raffinose, okay, um, gives three molecules of monosaccharides, which are glucose, fructose, and galactose. Therefore, it is said to be, I mean, raffinose is said to be a trisaccharide. Then go for the tetrasaccharide. Tetra means four. The hydrolysis, which on hydrolysis, I mean, carbohydrates on hydrolysis give four monosaccharide molecules. They are called tetrasaccharides. Examples: um, statiose. Okay, glucose, fructose, and galactose. Okay, so these are the products of um, uh, statiose. Okay, on hydrolyzed to give these four monosaccharide units. It is only tetrasaccharide known to exist in plant. It is only the compound. Okay, tetrasaccharide known to exist in plant. This one is, and then go for the polysaccharide. Polysaccharides are the polymeric anhydrides of monosaccharides. A long chain polymer are either straight chain or branched. Remember, okay. So it is made up with many number of monosaccharides. It's more than 10 units. Okay, they are called um, glycans. Example of polysaccharides on the basis of functional group, I mean functions. Okay, on the basis of functions. Uh, that means storage. The first category of classification of polysaccharide is um, based on the, I mean, basis of functions. We are categorized two types of compounds on the basis of storage. Okay, um, and on the basis of structure, we are categorized these polysaccharides. Starch and glycosans are belonging to storage um, category. Cellulose and pectins are belonging to structural category. Okay, so this is based on the functions only. Okay, so then on the basis of composition, homo polysaccharides and heteropolysaccharides. Okay, so let us go for the homopolysaccharide means on hydrolysis give only one type of monosaccharide units here. Therefore, it is homopolysaccharides. Okay, uh, hexogens contains hexoses. Okay, subdivided into glucosans, fructosans, galactans, and mannans. Okay, glucosan is the polymer of glucose. Examples are starch and glycogen. Fructosense are polymer of fructose. Okay, inulin example. Galactans is a polymer of galactose. Galact Example is category is hetero polysaccharides. On hydrolyzed to give, hetero means different types of monosaccharide. On hydrolyzed to give different types of monosaccharide. Homopolysaccharide means on hydrolysis gives one type of monosaccharide. In all the examples, for example, glycosans. I mean, this hydrolyzed to give glucose only. Fructosense are hydrolyzed to give fructose only. Galactosense, galactans are hydrolyzed to give galactose only. Okay, so one type of monosaccharide units are produced. Here is heteropolysaccharides, they produce different types of monosaccharide units. Gum consists of arabinose, rhamnose, and galactose. Okay, and uh, glucuronic acids and the sulfuric acid ester of galactans consist of galactose, galactoronic acid. Okay, then pectins. Fundamental units of pectic acid consist of arabinose, galactose, and galactoronic acid. Galactoronic acid. I think these are the examples, okay, for heteropolysaccharides. So there will be two types. One is depending upon the composition, it is classified. One is homo, and another one is hetero. Homo means only one hydrolyzed carbohydrates are hydrolyzed to give one type of monosaccharides. Okay, on hydrolyzed gives different type of monosaccharides. It is heteropolysaccharides. Okay. Welcome you once again for the discussion of carbohydrates. This is my second lecture. In this, I would like to teach about oxygen formations. Okay, so oxygens are well-defined crystalline substances. Remember, formed by the aldoses and ketosis. Aldoses means aldehyde containing carbohydrates. Ketosis means ketone group containing carbohydrates. Okay, both these aldoses and ketosis are I mean, undergoing oxygen type of reactions. Okay, oxygen formation takes place in both the carbohydrates. Okay, they are oftenly used for the identifications of monosaccharides. Remember, they are often used for the identification of monosaccharides. Okay, so let us move on to the um, reactions. Okay, reactions of glucose with phenylhydrazine. I mean, this phenylhydrazine through oxygen formations takes place. Here, three molecules of phenylhydrazines are consumed by the carbohydrates so that the final product glucosazone formed. Okay, so that is what your oxygen formation. Here is an explanation about oxygen formation. Oxygen reaction was developed and used by Emil Fischer, to identify the aldose sugar differing in the configurations uh, carbon. Okay, so during this oxygen formations, the hydroxyl group adjacent to the carbonyl carbon of aldehyde oxidizes to give keto group, oxidizes to give keto group, which is then attacked by phenylhydrazine to form oxygen. Okay, so which involves in three steps. Okay, that means the molecules, I mean this conversion, overall conversion, D-glucose to oxygen consume three molecules of phenylhydrazine. Remember, okay. During this CHOH group of glucose, okay, attached to the alpha carbon of D-glucose is oxidized to give keto groups, and um, hydrogen is reduced to aniline and ammonia as a byproduct. Okay, so which will be best described in three steps. That means in the first step, one molecule of phenyl hydrogen reacts with one molecule of phenyl hydrogen reacts with one molecule of glucose to form glucose phenyl hydrazone. Glucose phenyl hydrozones. Okay. Then the product which was obtained in the first stage reacts further with one more molecule of phenyl hydrogen to give phenyl hydrozones of glucosone. Okay, this phenyl hydrozone of glucosone again consumes one more molecule of phenyl hydrogen, give acetone. Okay, overall this conversions, the glucose to acetone consumes three molecules of phenyl hydrogen. And again the hydrogen is reduced to aniline and ammonia as a byproduct. Okay, so the main conversion will be the D-glucose and oxygen. Therefore, I have not write the byproducts of hydrogen reductions. So which also occurs during the reactions. Hydrogen is reduced to give aniline and ammonia as a byproduct along with oxygen. Okay, so the mainly during this explanations, write the conversion of D-glucose to oxygen is enough. Okay, need not worry about the reduction of hydrogens. Okay, so if we um, writing the balanced equations, if we write the balanced equations, that time the hydrogen reduced products also be written. Okay, otherwise it is of no need. So mainly we concentrate on the conversion of D-glucose to oxygen. This conversion includes or involves or consumes three molecules of phenyl hydrogen. Okay, so for example, two diastereomeric aldohexoses like um, D plus glucose and D plus mannose. Both yield the same oxygens. Okay, both will consume three molecules of phenyl hydrogen. Okay, oxygen formation destroys the configurations about C2 of an aldose, which will destroy the configurations about C2, carbon 2 of aldoses in both the compounds, D plus glucose as well as D plus mannose. Okay, but doesn't affect the configuration of rest of the molecule like C3 attached functional group, C4 attached and C5 and C6 in both the compounds, D plus mannose as well as D plus glucose. Remember, this C2 carbon is having hydroxyl group in right hand side in the case of glucose, but as in the mannose, this hydroxyl group in the LHS side. So therefore, these two, compounds are said to be I mean, uh, C2 apimers. Remember, a pair of diastereomeric aldoses. A pair of diastereomeric aldoses means glucose and mannose. Okay, these both these, which differ only in the configuration about C2. Remember, because hydroxyl rest of the molecules, rest of the carbon uh, chain having the same configurations. Only a C2 configurations. Only at the C2 carbon is having a hydroxyl group in different positions they are having, isn't it? In the D plus glucose, which is present at RHS side. In the mannose case, hydroxyl group is present at LHS side. So therefore, it is these two I think phase are said to be a apimers. Okay, sugar which gave the same oxygen are also known as apimers. Both to remember, mannose and the glucose both will give you the same common D phenylocytones. Okay, same it will give you the same product after reacted with three molecules of phenyl hydrogens. They give both the compounds, glucose and mannose, give same oxygen. Therefore, it is said to be a apimers. Okay. The next one is apimers and epimerizations. As I just told about apimers. Apimers means what? Uh, I mean, uh, they give same oxygen product. Okay, so they are said to be apimers. I mean, two diastereomers. Okay, give the same apimers or give the same oxygen product are said to be a apimers. Remember. Okay, pair of diastereomeric aldoses. Pair of diastereomeric aldoses like galactose, D-glucose, and D-mannose. Okay, they are all said to be aldoses only. A pair of any two. You can take any two among these compounds. A pair of diastereomeric aldoses, which differ only in the configuration about one chiral carbon atom is called apimers. Okay, that means, as I said in the um, earlier oxygen formations, both the, I mean, pair of diastereomers, D-glucose and D-mannose. Okay, they are differ only at C2 carbons. I mean, in the rest of the molecules are having the same configurations. I mean, they are that means same configuration means functional groups which are um, attached at the rest of the chains are same C3, C4, and C5. Let us take D-glucose and mannose. C3, C4, C5 configurations are same. Only differ in C2 configurations. Okay, therefore the pair of diastereomeric aldoses which differ only in the configuration about one chiral carbon. So chiral stands for the atom, I mean central atom. That carbon is constituted with different groups. So therefore, the pair of diastereomeric aldoses with differ only in the configuration about one chiral carbon atom is called apimers. Okay, let us move on to the another examples like D-galactose and D-glucose. So here the fourth carbon atoms, this fourth chiral carbon is having a, aphemer structure. Okay, so they are differ only in the when we considering these two examples, these two pairs, pair of diastereomeric aldoses, which differ only in the configuration about C4 chiral carbon atoms in the chain. Therefore, these two set of I mean uh, these two diastereomers are also be called as apimers. Okay. Then go for the epimerization. Epimerization is a process, is a chemical process wherein the epimer is made to transform. Made to transform means converted into its chiral counterpart, or the chemical conversion of one epimer to another epimer is called epimerization. Remember, when glucose is treated with very dilute alkali like NaOH. Okay, better when treated with organic bases such as pyridine or quinoline. Okay, ephemerization is said to take place. That is sugar ephemerals are obtained. Okay, thus glucose yields the mixture of mannose, fructose, and unreacted glucose. This reaction is useful in the preparation of rare sugar from their ephemerals. Okay, so for that purpose, ephemerization reactions are carried out. Okay. So this, the mechanism of this reaction was suggested by Loberg, D. Dune, and Van Ekenstein, involved in the formation of an intermediate anhydride. So this is an example for ephemerization. Is the base catalyzed ephemerization of glucose to mannose. Here the conversion of glucose to mannose will be there. So glucose is first oxidized to gluconic acid, okay, which is then heated with an organic phase like pyridine or quinoline, and thus it is converted to manoic acid, okay, third compound, this one, okay, which is then lactonized and reduced to give mannose. Okay, in the fourth step, lactonization takes place, and after that, that will reduce to give mannose. If we treated this lactonized compound with reducing agent, then this converted into mannose. So here is an complete reaction. So like conversion of glucose to mannose. This process, however, usually accompanied by the considerable decompositions, and it is now no more used for laboratory purposes. Therefore, here the considerable decompositions takes place in this reaction. Therefore, normally this type of reactions are not to, no more used for the laboratory purposes. And then go for the conversion of glucose to fructose. Here it involves uh, three steps. So I will go through one by one. Okay. So the conversion of glucose to fructose. So conversion involves following steps. In the first step, the glucose is treated with axis of phenylhydrazine. Okay, to form glucosazone. That we discussed in the beginning slide, isn't it? Acetone formation takes place when the glucose is treated with axis of phenylhydrazine. Remember, okay. In the next step, the product is hydrolyzed with concentrated HCl. Okay, so that will give you the glucosone. Okay, so this glucosone, okay, undergo reduction with zinc in acetic acid yields fructose. Here three steps are there. In the first step, glucose is treated with excess of phenylhydrazine, okay, which will form acetone, and that acetone is hydrolyzed in this second stage with concentrated HCl, which will give you glucosone, and then after reduction of glucosone with zinc in acetic acid yields fructose. Okay, totally it involves three steps. The first one is the glucose is treated with phenylhydrazine, which will form glucosazone, and this acetone product is hydrolyzed with concentrated HCl to give glucosone. Okay, um, this glucosone in the later stage reduced to give fructose in presence of zinc. Okay, reduction means addition of hydrogen. Hmm, Remember, this is what conversion of glucose to. Okay, now let us move on to the glucose. Here it involves in four steps. And the beginning step, that means first step, fructose reduces with hydrogen in the presence of nickel or sodium amalgam catalyst to form sorbitol. Okay, so and mannitol also. Uh, Sorbitol or mannitol is oxidized into gluconic acid in the next oxidation step, and after that this gluconic acid on warming give gamma lactones, or else lactonizers to give gluconic lactones, and then again uh, reduced or the product of lactones, okay, on reduction with sodium amalgam gives glucose. Here it involves in four steps. Among these conversions, it will, I mean, the conversion from fructose to glucose, the two reduction steps are occurs in presence of sodium amalgam. Then oxidations and heating. I think these are the four key steps to um, convert fructose to glucose. In the first step, fructose is reduced with hydrogen in the presence of sodium amalgam. Sorbitol or mannitol is formed, and this sorbitol or mannitol oxidizes to give, I mean, gluconic acid. And this gluconic acid, on heating, lactones are formed, and these lactones are again um reduced in presence of sodium amalgam to give glucose. Okay, so overall, this fructose first reduced to sorbitol using amalgam and water. Then alcohol is oxidized to corresponding gluconic acid, which is then lactonized and reduced to glucose. Here, the key four steps are that you need to concentrate while writing the conversion. So, exam point of view, the conversion of glucose to fructose and fructose to glucose are oftenly asked. Therefore, you need to write the uh, neat, I mean, chemical process. Uh, then only you may get maximum marks out of 4 marks for this type of reactions. Okay, thank you. So welcome you once again for carbohydrate uh, unit discussions. Here it is a third lecture. In this lecture number 3, I would like to discuss about three important things. One is mutarotations, and the second one is the Killen's Fischer synthesis and Rupp's degradation. Killen's Fischer synthesis means here lengthening of I mean carbohydrates takes place, and in the last discussions, Rupp's degradation is there. In that, Rupp's degradation means is shortening of aldoses. Okay, so in the Killen's-Fischer synthesis, chain lengthening of aldoses takes place. In the Ruff's degradation, chain shortening of aldoses takes place. Here we shall discuss one by one. Okay, so okay, let me discuss about the mutarotation. Here, mutarotation means it's a phenomenon of change of specific rotations of an optically active compounds with the time to an equilibrium value of specific rotations. Here, the phenomenon of change in optical rotations of the solutions of either form of glucose until a constant value is obtained is called mutarotation. Latin language, in Latin, muto means to change. So muta rotation means change of rotation, change of specific rotations. Do remember. Okay. So the freshly prepared aqueous solutions of alpha glucose crystalline crystallized from alcohol has these specific rotations of plus 112 degree, 112 degree, which is gradually falls to 153 degree and remains constant at this value. Okay, similarly, specific rotations of freshly prepared aqueous solutions of beta glucose crystallized from the pyridine solutions increases from plus 19 degree to 53 degree. Okay, 52.7 degree. Okay, so this is what muta rotations. Hmm. Explanations regarding this muta rotations. Okay, glucose forms a stable hemiacetal ring between CHO group and the OH group of fifth carbon atom. Formations take place in the glucose. Okay, between the CHO group and OH group of the fifth carbon atom of the same molecule. Okay, the aldehydic carbon atom becomes asymmetric due to this ring formation and gives rise to two stereoisomers. One is alpha isomers, this one, and another one is beta glucose. Okay, these two are alpha and betas are called stereoisomers. Okay, such isomers are also called as anomers. Remember, mutarotations of glucose is caused by the conversion of alpha and beta glucopyranose. These alpha and beta glucoses are said to be anomers, which are, I mean, converted into an equilibrium mixture of both. Okay, the same equilibrium mixture is formed, and it must be uh, from either pure alpha D glucopyranose or beta D glucopyranose. And this mutarotations are catalyzed by both acid and base, but occurs in even pure water also. Okay, so simply I can say that mutarotation means the change of specific rotations from its values to an equilibrium value. So alpha D glucose is having 112.2 degrees and beta D glucose is having 18.7 degree in its pure form. Okay, in its pure crystalline form. When it is dissolved, when we dissolved these two compounds in um, um, I mean pure water, the change in specific rotation, change of specific rotation takes place from 112 to 52.7 degree. So 52.7 degree is an equilibrium mixture. Okay, so which is having three types of compounds, which is having three types of compounds. One is alpha D glucose, and second one is beta D glucose, and third one is very trace amount of 0.003% of open chain D glucose. So uh, that means um, 64% of 63% of beta D glucose and 36% of alpha D glucose and 0.003% of open chain compound. So this is about muta rotation. Fischer synthesis. Fischer synthesis means chain carbon chain lengthening of aldoses takes place. Killiani-Fischer synthesis, name for German chemist. Okay, is the method of lengthening of carbon chain of aldoses, conversion of lower aldoses to higher aldoses. Okay, so it is a synthetic protocol used to introduce a carbon atom to a molecule of lower aldoses. Very simple way I can say that. Okay, the process involves this conversions aldopentose to aldohexose. Aldopentose is having only a 5 carbon atoms. Aldohexose is having 6 carbon atoms. So here lengthening of carbon takes place, isn't it? That means the conversions aldopentanose to aldohexose. This process involves the reaction of given aldoses with HCl. Simple addition with HCN takes place in the first step. One mixture of distereomeric cyanohydrin is formed, and this is due to the reason that cyanohydrin formed gives rise to a new asymmetric center. Okay, then the cyanohydrin this mixture is hydrolyzed to give a mixture of two corresponding acids, okay, which are separated from each other, and each of these acid upon heating forms the corresponding lactone, and which is reduced by the uh, sodium amalgam to yield higher aldoses. Okay, complete process has been illustrated by taking into the consideration of conversion of D-arabinose. D-arabinose means aldopentoses into the mixture of D-glucose and D-mannoses. D-glucose and D-mannoses are aldohexoses. Okay, here both the apimers are uh, both the apimer formations are takes place. Okay, this is what Kalani's Fisher. Here its complete scheme is given. Here the mixture of compound formation takes place. As I said in the beginning, addition of an HCN gives distereomeric cyanohydrins. Okay, and this cyanohydrins hydrolyzed to give manoic acid. Okay, and glucanoic acid. Manoic acid and glucanoic acid. So then, after heating, lactone formation takes place, which is reduced in the further steps to give D-glucose and mannose in presence of sodium amalgam. The first step, addition with HCN, and second stage, hydrolysis, and third stage, upon heating, lactone formation, and the fourth step, lactones are reduced to give D-glucose and D-mannose. This is what complete the complete conversion of D-arabinose to D-glucose or D-mannose. So here simply a lengthening of carbon chain takes place. Arabinose to glucose. Arabinose is aldopentoses. This compound is having 5 carbon atoms. D-glucose and D-mannoses are having 6 carbon atoms. Here one addition of carbon takes place. Now let us move on to the rough degradations. That means shortening of carbon chain of aldoses. Here the conversion of higher aldoses into the lower aldoses takes place. Rough degradation method is one of the best important methods for the conversion of higher aldoses into its lower aldoses. It involves uh, I mean two steps of reactions. In the first step, oxidation of aldoses with bromine water into aldanoic acid takes place, In the second step, the acid is converted into its calcium salt, which on treatment with pentone's reagent gives an aldose with one carbon atom less. Okay, pentone's reagent means hydrogen peroxide in the presence of ferric salt. Okay, that gives an aldose with one carbon atom less. Aldose, I mean here it is in conversion of aldohexoses to aldopentose. Two steps of reactions are involved in this process. The first step is oxidation reactions with bromine water, and the second step, this aldenoic acid is um, treated with pentone's reagent to give aldopentanose. So one more example is given in this conversion of D-glucose to D-arabinose. D-glucose is having 6 carbon atom. Okay, D-arabinose is having 5 carbon atoms. In the first step, oxidation with bromine water converts to D-gluconic acid. This D-gluconic acid is treated with pentone's reagent to give D-arabinose, which is of having 5 carbon atoms. Okay, so this is all about Ruff's degradation. Here, chain shortening takes place. Okay, in the earlier Kellenia's Fischer synthesis, chain lengthening takes place. Lower aldoses to higher aldose conversions. Here, Ruff's degradation means higher aldoses to lower aldoses. Okay, so only these two types of synthesis have been prescribed in your carbohydrate chapter. So these two are important for the exam point of view also. Okay, they might ask this question for 5 marks. Okay, I mean Kellenius Fischer synthesis and rough degradations. Okay, that time you have to um, best illustrated with examples. Okay, I have quoted um, two examples. Okay, let us move on to the determination of ring structure of D-glucose and determination of the ring size of D-glucose by Haworth-Heston. Uh, I mean, this presentation is focusing on these two things, mainly on ring structure of D-glucose and ring size of D-glucose by Haworth-Heston. Okay, there are many objections to indicate that open chain structure of glucose is not true structure. Remember, a closer look at the reaction of glucose reveals a different picture. That means glucose fails to explain the following reactions. Remember, the first one it is fails to restore the pink color with the skip reagent. Skip reagent means rose aniline hydrochloride. It is C6 H5 C6H5 C6H5 NH3 Cl NH3 plus Cl minus. Okay, this is skip reagent. Remember. Okay, when we treat this skip reagent to glucose, I mean it fails to restore the pink color with skip reagent. That means It proves that the CHO group is not free in the glucose structure. Remember, if it is free, then pink color, I mean, should be present. Otherwise, it fails to restore that pink color with the skip reagent. So that was the first objections. The second thing, it fails to form the addition product with ammonia and sodium bisulfate. So therefore, I mean, aldehyde groups are not at all free in the glucose structure. Remember, it is, I mean, it is absent because it is involved in the ring formations. So therefore, it fails to restore pink color in skip reagent, as well as it fails to form addition product with ammonia and sodium bisulfate. And it exists into two isomeric forms which undergo mutar rotations when dissolved in water. Okay, so like alpha and beta. Formation of two isomeric forms of methyl glucoside when treated with methanol in the presence of dry HCl confirms cyclic structure of glucose only. Okay, these glucosides do not exhibit Mutter rotations and fail to give solvent reagent and Pelling solution test also. I think these are the main objections to indicate the open chain structure of glucose is not its true structure. It should be in ring structure only. Okay, that is also confirmed by X-ray analysis. Okay, X-ray analysis of glucose proves the existence of ring as well as the size of the ring also. Remember. Okay, so again the glucose forms two isomeric penta-acetyl derivative. Remember, neither of them reduce Pelling solutions or to give the reaction of aldehyde or give other reaction aldehyde. This indicates CHO group is absent in this derivative. Okay, and again another objection will be the all the aldehydes. Remember, reacts with the two molecules of alcohol to give acetals, but glucose with reacts with only one molecule of alcohol to form the mixture of acetals. Remember, that is why I think glucose in the structure of glucose, CHO group is absent. And to account for the above ring structure of glucose was given by Fischer, Haber, as shown below. So, so in this ring structure, CHO group is not free. That means it is involved in the ring formations, oxide ring formations, with the hydroxyl group of the same molecule at the fifth carbon. Okay, and the ring structure explains the fact which are not explained by the open chain structure as follows. Existence of two form of glucose, alpha and beta, just now explained, isn't it? Two forms differ in the configuration at C1. That means such carbon is called anomeric carbon, and the two forms are called anomers, alpha and beta. Okay, this is about ring structure only. Mutarotation is explained by the interconversion of cyclic forms into each other till 36% of alpha and 64% of beta forms are present in equilibrium mixture. This conversion takes place through open chain structure. Thus, whether we take the alpha or beta on dissolution with water, we shall obtain an equilibrium mixture. Remember, and alpha beta methyl glucoside do not exhibit muta rotations. They are not readily hydrolyzed to open chain. Okay, the structure of methyl glucosides are given in the next presentations. Next slide. They are the acetals. Okay, so the interconversion of cyclic forms into each other uh, till 36% of alpha and 64% of beta forms are present in equilibrium mixture. Remember. Okay, this conversion takes place through open chain structure only. Remember. So this is all about the ring structure of glucose, and the fact which are not explained by the open chain structure as. Okay. Now let us move on to the determination of ring size of D-glucose by Haworth-Hist method. So they made these interference based on the methylation and oxidation method. In both the way, one could, I think, determine the ring size of D-glucose. Remember, okay. So in this Haworth-Hist method, glucose is converted into methyl glucoside. Okay, like that. Okay, then it is treated with dimethyl sulfate, CH3 twice SO4 and NaOH to convert it into methyl tetraorthomethyl D-glucoside. In this, remaining hydroxyl groups are converted into methoxy group OH2 OCH3 by treating this methyl beta D-glucose with dimethyl sulfate. So later on hydrolysis, hydrolyzed to give pentamethyl D-glucose to tetramethyl D-glucose. Remember. Okay. Then the open form of this tetramethyl D-glucose. Here, this tetramethyl D-glucose contains an aldehyde group, 4 um, OCH3 group, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 OCH3 group, okay, methoxy group, and one pre OH group. This one pre OH group. So the pre OH group at C5, remember, pre OH group at C5 was originally involved in ring formations. This is originally involved in ring formations, and the position of this pre OH in the open chain structure can give a clue to which the carbon is involved in the ring formations to give a six-membered ring structure for glucose. That means this fifth carbon hydroxyl group is involved in the carbon uh, 1 of that open chain structure of glucose. So the hemiacetal formation takes place. Hemiacetal means carbon is having one OCH3 and one OH. So this cyclic hemiacetal compound is having one OCH3 and OR and one OH, one OR and one OH. It is semi has acetal functional group, okay, which is present in the D-glucoside. Remember, obviously the two carboxylic carbon, uh, 1 and 5, two carboxylic carbon 1 and 5 of this tri methoxy glutaric acid, okay, are the one originally involved in the ring formation. Hence there must be an existed an oxide ring between the C1 and C5, oxide ring between the C1 and C5. Remember, tracking back to the reaction sequence, it is stand proved that D-glucose has a 6-membered ring, and the presence of 6-membered ring D-glucose has been confirmed by the X-ray analysis also. This is all about I think ring size determinations of glucose. It could be done through oxidation reactions also. So in my presentations, I have only included methylation reactions. Okay, methylation through I have determined the ring size of the given glucose. Okay, now let us move on to the perspective formula of D-glucose. So, however, the perspective formulas are commonly used to show the, okay, it suggests 6 carbon pyranoses tend to assume either two chair form conformations. Okay, uh, in Haworth formulae, a 6-membered ring is tilted to make its plane almost perpendicular to that of paper. The closest to the bond closest to the reader means this portion are drawn thicker than those of further away. So these, I mean, bond closest to the readers are drawn thicker than the other portion of this molecule. Okay, remember here these two are the possible, chair form for this D-glucose molecule according to Haworth formula. So now let us move on to the conversions of this Fischer to Haworth structure in the next slide. Okay, let me discuss in step by step. Okay, so how to convert? So the Fisher projection formula of any linear d-hexose to Haworth perspective formula. So first thing, draw the 6-membered ring. So like that. So with the anomeric carbons, like that you have to draw. Okay, so the draw 6-membered ring. Huh? So that means 5 carbon and 1 oxygen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Then number the carbon in clockwise directions. Number the carbon in clockwise directions. Remember. With the anomeric carbons. This is called anomeric carbon. Okay. So glucose molecules are existed in alpha and D form, isn't it? So the structure of alpha and betas are distinguished from this anomer only, because in the alpha uh, structure the hydroxyl group is pointing down. Okay, alpha it is pointing down. In the beta form it is pointing upward. Remember, so the number should be given like that. For carbon in the clockwise direction, begin with the anomeric carbon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, add the hydroxyl group as follows. So If the hydroxyl group is to the right in the Fisher formula, so suppose if it is right in the Fisher formula, remember it is placed pointing down. So like that, it is pointing, it is pointing down in the Haworth formula. If it is present at the right hand side of the Fisher formula, in the Haworth structure, it should be pointing down in the molecule. Okay, pointing down in the ring. Hmm? So if the hydroxyl group is to the left of the Fisher formula, in such circumstances, remember it is pointing up. So if it is on right hand side of the Fisher, however, it should be pointing down. If it is on the left side, pointing upward. Okay. So add the hydroxyl groups likewise. If the hydroxyl group is to the right in the Fisher formula, it is placed pointing down in the Haworth. If it is to the left in the Fisher formula, then it is placed pointing up in the Haworth. Okay, then go for the terminal CH2OH. Remember, in this molecule, there will be two types of enantiomers, D enantiomers and L enantiomers. If it is D, this CH2OH projects upward. Remember, CH2OH is projects upward. Okay, so if it is L form L enantiomers, then CH2OH is downward, pointing downwards. Okay, then when the hydroxyl group on the anomeric carbon, so for the carbon number 1, okay, of the D glucose is on the same side of the ring carbon, say, ring as a carbon 6. Suppose OH group is pointing upward and CH2OH is also pointing upward, then it is both are pointing upward, then it is beta. Okay, so if suppose one CH2OH is pointing upward, OH group is pointing downward, then it is alpha. So in the slide itself, in this presentations, I have quoted alpha D glucopyranose. That means CH2OH is pointing upward, alpha, OH hydroxyl group is pointing at downward in the anomeric carbons. So this is what uh, the conversions, the how one can write the Haworth perspective formula from the hmm, Fisher formula. Remember. So let's move on to the converting the Fisher formula. There must be a certain steps. Okay, it is prescribed in this presentations also. It is compiled in 4 steps. Step by step, I have converting the Fisher to a Haworth structure. In the first step, the numbering of carbon should be made, number carbons, and draw in the Fisher stereochemistry. Okay, so the arms come out to hug you, like that you have to sketch. Okay, so then go for the second step. Here the converting, Fisher to Haworth, like rotating clockwise. Okay, rotate the molecule in clockwise 90 degree, rotate 90 degree clockwise. Okay, so this is second step, and after that bond rotation on C5, bond rotation on C5. Okay, so then closure of the ring. So this is the last step. Like that, we have to write the Fisher to Haworth. In the first step, give the number to carbons. Okay. Then rotate the Fisher 90 degree on its side. Okay. Then bond rotation on C5, and then ring closure. I mean ring closure in the sense formation of oxygen to carbon bond. Okay. Then after proton transfer, one should get alpha D-glucopyranose and beta D-glucopyranose. So this was the chair form conformations of alpha D-glucopyranose. Remember. So this is all about the Fisher converting Fisher to Haworth structure. It is compiled in 4 steps. Okay. Thank you.